What's going on, guys? So today I want to switch courses. We've been talking about nutrition the last few days. Today I want to talk a little bit about exercise, and I want to talk about some of the different things that you can do to prevent injuries. And we're going to start with the shoulders. Because a lot of you out there are bodybuilders or trying to be bodybuilders or trying to build muscle or just getting into lifting where you have a bunch of bodybuilders telling you what to do. So you are following certain protocols with your upper body. And a lot of you are bench pressing a lot. Some of you might be bench pressing every day. Some of you might be bench pressing and shoulder pressing every day. Some of you might be doing it 3 times a week. And a lot of you might be doing a lot of pressing exercises without doing a lot of pulling exercises. So I'm going to give you a little bit of education here. I'm not going to get too technical on the anatomy or anything like that. I just want you to understand the basics of some things that can cause you to have issues with your shoulder. And like a lot of my videos, I'm going to start with a little story. Back in the day, I used to bench press a lot because I wanted to have a big bench press, just like a lot of you. I never had a really good bench press. Mine always kind of sucked because I got really long arms, but that's no excuse. Maybe I'm just a freaking wimp. I don't know. Either way, I bench pressed a lot, did a lot of overhead presses, did a lot of dips, did a lot of pushing movements. And so a few years went by, and one day I am trying to do some work in the garage, and I'm moving around my arm, and all of a sudden I start to feel some friction in there. And every time I raise my arm, I start to feel a lot of pain, a whole lot of pain going on all up in this area. And I took a few days off of lifting. I took a few days off of doing anything at all, and it went away. But a few months later, it came back, and then it happened in both sides. And I started to get all this pain going on all over the place in here. And so, this is back when we didn't have a lot of the knowledge that we have now. This is prior to my personal training certifications. This is prior to a lot of things. I was young. I was too young to be having that kind of pain in my shoulder. I was too young not to be able to lift my arm all the way up over my shoulder and not to have full ranges of motion in my shoulder. And a lot of you might understand what I'm talking about right now. If you're young and you're not able to move your shoulder around much or anything like that, if you're uncomfortable getting into this position, if you're uncomfortable like bring your arms back or anything like that, I'm still a little bit tight there myself. You might have some issues, right? So there's a couple of things we have to work on here. One is we need to work on our mobility, right? We need to make sure that we're getting a lot of this scar tissue out. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on that. You need to go to Kelly Starrett. You need to go to Mobility Wad. You need to listen to what he has to say, because he is probably the greatest expert in the history of mobility and the greatest expert here on YouTube. What I want to talk to you about right now, though, is the fact that if we are bench pressing several times a week, if we are pressing several times a week, if we're doing lots of pushing exercises, but we're not doing a lot of pulling exercises, there's going to be a problem. One of my major problems throughout my early training career was the fact that I was working all of this up here, all these pecs, because I wanted a big chest, I wanted the big bench press. I wanted to have, to be able to show how strong I was, but I wasn't working these rear deltoids back here. And my posture was horrible. I was going forward like this. I was walking around like this, trying to show how big I was, sitting at my desk like this. But this was getting super developed, super tight, super strong. This wasn't getting any work at all. And you think about it, you use these front deltoids a lot to do different things, right? But if this is not strong enough to balance this out, the whole shoulder starts to go out of whack. You get what's called shoulder impingement syndrome. And so, luckily, when I was younger, I knew some people who were very knowledgeable about training. And one of the things they taught me was that you need to be pulling more than you're pushing. If you want a really good bench press, if you want a strong shoulder press, if you want to have a strong upper body, you need to be very good at pulling. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but bent rows, Pendlay rows, pull-ups. They should all be part of your routine, but also activating your rear deltoids, doing things like face pulls, right? Doing face pulls prior to doing pushing exercises like your bench press, prior to doing things like your dips, mobilizing those rear deltoids. That should be part of your warm-up before you do any pushing exercises. Make sure that they're good and warm. Now, when you watch powerlifters doing their lifts. Now, everybody talks about how they see powerlifters doing that super arch, but one of the reasons why they're doing that, in addition to decreasing the range of motion, is because when you go like this and you twist your arms in like this and you bring them down, one of the things that does is it actually activates your lats and it activates your rear deltoids to help with those pushing movements, to help give you some support. Your lats are actually a very important part of your bench press, and your rear deltoids are actually a very important part of your bench press. And if those are not getting the work, then you're not going to get strong, and you're going to increase your potential for getting injured. So, what have we learned in this video today? One, Kelly Starrett is the man, and go check him out to learn how to do the mobility, because I'm not going to sit here and try to BS you and say that I'm an expert in it. Two, make sure that you're working the backside of your upper body as much or more than you're working the front side of your upper body if you don't want to get injured and you want to get as strong as possible. All right? Not that I'm very strong upper body, but in my day I carried some weight. Not anymore. I'm skinny. I'll talk to you guys later. I love you all. Check out my new websites down in the comments, and that's it. Peace.